Gotta look professional. Even if it's 40 degrees. Chest is out. Oh, perv. Ladies and gentlemen, the revolution has begun. The things you own should never be allowed to own you. The older I get, the more I worry about the mess our stuff has got us into as a society. There's overwhelming pressure to own the newest, to own the shiniest, to own the best of everything, which means everything quickly becomes outdated. Of course, our corporations and companies have not just cottoned on to this, they've taken to it with enormous verve and vigour. And the best thing they can do for their sales is to make sure you and I feel like we need to have the latest gadget, the latest gizmo, the latest item of clothing at all times. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to find something old and keep it forever. I choose to accept this mission. I choose my truck. You might hate my truck. I'm certain there are many reasons to feel this way. It is a vulgar display of wanton inefficiency and environmental vandalism to some. It's got a 5.3 litre V8, it's got performance heads, it's got a cam, it's got an intake and an exhaust, and it gets exactly 4 inches to the gallon or something. I get it, it's stupid. But I love my stupid truck. I love that it's old and a bit beat up. I love that it's been thrashed by a desert-dwelling madman. I love that I had to bring it back to life. And as I evolve as a human, a little, I even love that other people hate it. Because rule number 1 of making sure your stuff doesn't own you is to stop trying to impress others with your stuff. Because buying things based on what other people think is a never-ending arms race that will drain your bank account quicker than, well, my truck at a fuel pump. The stuff they're trying to sell us is mostly junk, especially cars. Back to you, Steve. Thanks, Steve. Now listen, new cars are great in some ways. They're super efficient, they're loaded with tech, they're super safe, but they're not robust in a really important way. Let me introduce you to a little something called CAN bus. CAN bus stands for Controller Area Network. And the bus term is a term used in technology or electronics, and basically it means that a bunch of different systems are using the same circuit or the same method for communication. A little bit like a bus route. They all go round but they get off at different stops. Here's what it might look like for my Sierra. You've got the bus route in blue, going round and round in circles there, and each system there getting off at its own stop. Now, this is fine in theory. It's very efficient. It means all your systems are talking to one another. But of course, it also means if something goes wrong along this bus route, you're not just affecting one system, you're affecting lots of systems. Now, this is a problem. It relies on too many sensors, too many computers, all of them needing to connect to each other in order to function. It is repairable, but not by me, not in my driveway, not with my tools. And because of that, it starts to get expensive. Even on a basic level, like my Sierra, you need one of these. An ODB reader, just to diagnose what might be wrong with your car. Now, my 2010 GMC, it does have CAN bus, which is a bit of a problem. It makes it probably not an ideal forever truck. But the CAN bus that it does have is quite low key compared to modern cars, quite manageable. I should be able to maintain it for a long time. Stop it! I call this the slow descent into automotive hell. In the 1970s, 60s and 70s, you had machines that were basically entirely mechanical. Every system relied on a mechanical device or a mechanical function in order to make the car work. Then fuel injection started in the 70s, but became very mainstream in the 1980s and 90s. And all of a sudden these cars with electronic ignitions and fuel injection needed ECUs, so the computers that run your engines, in order to function. So all of a sudden you had machines and computers. Then in about 2010-ish, a really important cutoff there, you had networked machines. Machines that rely on a network of functions on your CAN bus in order to work. Nowadays, well, we're into the software territory where your car actually needs updated software in order to function. And of course, they're not just connected to each other, they're now and in the future connected to the cloud, which means there are systems in your car which not only can't you fix, but you don't even have control of in the first place. And I call this automotive hell. So that's how we got there. Automotive hell might be a bit of an exaggeration, but let me explain to you exactly what the problem with that is. Now, the problem doesn't necessarily lie with the technology. The problem lies with how complicated it is to repair, and therefore how expensive it is to repair when it does go wrong. And it will go wrong. That's not gone well. Added to this problem is just how willing and able the dealerships and the small repair garages are to fix the problems when they do occur. There are far more incentives, especially for the dealerships, to sell you a new model on finance rather than repair the one you have. Now, this does make you wonder slightly, just how much do they want these cars to survive? They certainly do not want you and I to fix them in our driveway. These cars aren't just connected internally, they're connected to the cloud. So your new car has a wireless connection to the dealers, to the company that sold the car, and they can turn features on and off in your car according to things like subscriptions. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not wearing my tinfoil hat. I don't believe that car companies will end up deliberately crippling our cars after 2 years so we have to buy new ones. But I guess they could if they wanted to.
Not with my truck they couldn't. The only danger is a lack of parts and knowledge, but with a brand and model as popular as my GMC, it seems unlikely. Between the GMC Sierra and the Chevy Silverado, which are mechanically identical, and all variations in between, GM sold 4.24 million of these trucks in the US alone between 2007 and 2014. They call these the GMT 900 models, so there's a huge aftermarket base. Then there's the engine, the mighty LS V8. Yes, I know it's not actually an LS in this truck, it's an LMG, but it's in the LS family, and they still make them, and they've been making them since the 90s. The LS engine family has a staggering presence in the automotive world, with huge numbers of small companies manufacturing parts. And despite the CAN bus and all the computers, as far as modern engines go, they're actually really simple. They even make kits to turn these back into carburetor engines if you want to. As well as that, they can be modified and they can be made to fly.
Now listen, I'm no climate denier. I believe in taking care of the planet. I do think we're doing damage and we need to look after it. So how do I justify this truck? Well, in some ways I can't, and I shouldn't have to. You know, you like what you like and you do what makes you happy. That's what this life is all about. But there are other things to consider. For example, did you know that to manufacture a brand new hybrid or EV, it takes approximately 15 tons of carbon to produce that car? Now, I would have to drive this thing, even the way it is, with its stupid cam and heads and whatever else, I would have to drive this thing for well over a decade to contribute that amount of carbon. Now, consider that I bought this thing very second-hand, so the manufacturing cost in carbon terms had already been paid whether I bought the vehicle or not. Also, consider that that really well-meaning person who's bought a brand new EV or hybrid, let's be honest, they're not going to still own it in 10 years. So before that 10 years is up, they've probably cycled through, traded in, got a new one, maybe twice by then. So there's another 30 tons of carbon produced by the manufacture of these things. Actually, one thing I would say to the green movement to really consider is actually one of the most environmentally friendly things that you can do is to keep old cars running, to buy second-hand cars, and to look after them. The more we remove the need to constantly make, that is one of the most environmentally friendly things you can do. So actually, buying an old car has environmental merit. You know what damages the planet more than driving my V8 truck is the endless purchase of plastic crud boxes that they churn out. Don't fall for it. Don't buy the crap they're trying to sell us.
But don't just do it for the planet, do it for your own pocket. This might be my forever truck, but it's not ideal. The model sits right at the edge of the very last fixable machines, but it's still loaded with computers. I would have loved something older, but they're just so hard to find here. This one had a very important thing going for it. It was cheap.
16,000 dirhams, that's what it cost me. So nobody wants cars at this age. It's 16,000 dirhams, it's about 4 grand American for a truck that was almost rust free, had a little bit in the cab roof. It was rough, I'll be honest, it was rough. I've done a fair bit of work to it. Because of the price, if it doesn't last me forever, if something does go catastrophically wrong with it, if I bend it round a pole, I haven't really lost anything because it was so cheap to buy in the first place. Because your car is cheap to buy too, you're looking at cheaper insurance, you're looking at less worry about where you park it and what you do with it. I do almost all of the work to this truck, and I think that's another really important part of owning a forever car or a forever truck. You almost form a bond with the machine by inventing all these swear words as you lay underneath it covered in oil and leaving bits of your skin scattered around the place. And that's how this works. It's a hands-on exercise to keep a car going, and that's how it should be. And of course it makes it more affordable too, because when you take a car to a dealership or a garage or anything like that, most of what you're paying for is, of course, labour. And labour is something that if you're willing, you can do yourself. So what have I done to it? Well, I had to replace all of the bushes in the front end. All the suspension bushes were absolutely shot. So were the lower control arms. So were the engine mounts and the transition mounts and the cross member across the transmission. I had to replace all of those. One thing I didn't do myself is I had the transmission rebuilt. It's got the 6L80 6-speed automatic transmission, which they're not the best. It was clearly tired. So rather than just wait for it to die, I had it rebuilt. Also regassed the AC and rebuilt the AC compressor. I replaced most of the ignition parts myself. Obviously serviced it myself, changed all the oils, including the transfer case, including the rear end. So it's all sorted now, and the best part about that is it's mine. I don't owe any finance on it, I'm not under any weird contracts, I can drive it wherever I want to. This is my truck, and it's a symbol of my one-man revolution. Now, if you're still watching this, you probably already agree with me. But if you're new to this, and you're sick of forking out your hard-earned for shiny, soulless stuff that breaks, come join the revolution. Find your forever car. They're out there. And it's not just cars. Find your forever boots. Find some second-hand furniture that's really high quality that will last forever. Buy a record player and start playing music on vinyl so the money actually goes to the artist. Find a really cool second-hand store with great clothes from years gone by. Cut your own hair. I don't know. Build a plane from old potato peels and fly yourself to the moon. Don't do that. Don't do that. Ladies and gentlemen, the revolution will not be televised, but it will be on YouTube. Please like and subscribe.